Good afternoon. We have just begun reading the second book of the Torah, called the Book of the Exodus. In Hebrew, it's Shemot. And Moses, the great teacher and the great prophet of all times, is sent by God to the Jewish people, to the people of Israel, and to Pharaoh. And of course the question is, if Pharaoh has got all the guns, and Pharaoh's the one that decides whether the people of Israel can leave or stay, why does Moses have to go to the people of Israel altogether? And the answer is very simply, straightforward. If the people of Israel don't want to go, or don't believe that they can go, then they won't go. Because God only creates miracles if you're open to them and you want them to happen. If you don't want the Messiah won't come. You have to want the Messiah, and you have to expect the Messiah to come for the Messiah to come. You had to want to leave Egypt in order to actually leave Egypt. So the first order of business was to convince the slaves that it was possible, and it was a good thing, and that it actually could take place, that they could leave Egypt. And once they were convinced of that, Moses could then go to Pharaoh. You can't make a miracle on your own on behalf of someone else if that person doesn't want the result of that miracle. And so Moses was forced first to go to the people of Israel and then to Pharaoh. But first, he showed the people of Israel three signs. The first two were personal. And the third one, blood. The water turned to blood on the ground. This, of course, was the first plague that he would smite Pharaoh with. But what were the first two signs that God sent Moses with so that they could understand that this was something that they could put their hands into and get involved in? Moses was told, what do you have in your hand? He says, a stick. He says, throw it down. Throws it down and it becomes a snake. And Moses got shaken up. He was afraid. So God says, don't worry. Just grab its tail. He grabbed the tail, and it became a stick as it was before. And then God says to him, put your hand inside your bosom. Take it out. The hand was suddenly leprous white. The body was ready to come apart because of the frailty of the leprosy. Then God said, put your hand back, and he pulled it out, and it already had become clean, pure, fresh flesh. And the question, of course, is, he does this in front of the people of Israel. There's a message over here. What is the message? Of course, there are many interpretations. I'll share with you mine. We live at a time when people say, you can't do certain things. You can't get the American president angry, because if you do things on behalf of the people of Israel that are necessary for the security issues, but it angers the American president, then it won't work anyway. You got to convince the American president that this is good for America. It's too much for you. It's too strong for you. It's too difficult for you. We live at a time of recession. And people are saying, don't invest, don't start a business, don't do anything. Stay on the sidelines, wait it out, see what's going to happen. That's the best advice that the great financiers have. And there are similar situations throughout our history. People said, don't do things to rock the boat. Don't shake things up too much. Don't be too Jewish. And Moses shows the people two things. Number one, you see the stick becomes a viper. The viper was once a stick. It's a dangerous animal, yes. It's very destructive. But it once didn't have any destructive abilities. It only became a destructive ability when you let things go. When you let things ride. You let things accumulate. Then, from a stick, it becomes a viper. Inaction, and it'll remain a viper. It may bite you. Grab it, not where it's dangerous. Grab it where it's least dangerous, its tail. But do something, and it'll go back into being a stick, something that's very manageable. The same thing is true. Put your hands in your bosom. Don't do anything. Your hand will become leprous. For you see, you have two choices. Either tame that viper, or your hand becomes leprous. Either do something, get involved, create something, or else you'll be sick. Your hand will become paralyzed. You'll be paralyzed with the fear of your own inaction and the inertia that comes with it. A person who doesn't want to do anything has all kinds of excuses why it can't be done. And a man of action starts, and God helps him.